Bird nesting is a co-parenting arrangement where divorced or separated parents keep the family home for their children and then rotate in and out to care for them rather than having the children move between two separate homes. And while it may sound like the perfect solution, family lawyer and co-parenting coach Gabriella Pomari says it could actually create more problems than it solves. So Gabriella is joining us now to talk about bird nesting. And Gabriella, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Morning here, at night for you in Australia. So thanks for checking in.
That's right. Good morning to you, and thank you for having me on about this really important topic.
Of course. Let's dive into this because I have a lot of questions about this as well. It's something we've seen a lot. When you search for it, you see a lot of positive news stories, positive experience, but you're saying there's another side to this that needs to be considered. So let's start with this. Why are parents choosing a bird nest separation or divorce, Gabriella?
I think it's become really popular in the recent years, especially amongst parents who have seen it in media, in magazines, on Instagram, and they really want to brand themselves as progressive or what we would call conscious co-parents. It's a modern trend, but the reality is it's a lot more complicated. Children can suffer emotionally when they see their parents coming back and forth, and that's something we need to think about when we're making decisions like this.
Well, of course, and I want to dive into that and talk more about that. I mean, what is the emotional impact of bird nesting on children? What have you seen, Gabriella?
Certainly. I mean, one of the biggest problems is the message it sends to kids. I mean, imagine being 8 years old. You see mum moving in for a few nights, then you see dad coming back for a few nights with his toothbrush or something. It's confusing. And children often interpret this as maybe they're taking turns and maybe they're going to get back together. And that false hope can really stick in kids' minds and create this limbo for them and prevent them from accepting the separation. I know I've worked with families when children keep asking, when is dad moving in for good, or why can't you both just stay here with me?
Goodness.
So
Yeah.
for parents, they like the stability, but for children, it stretches out the grief process.
Another aspect of this I thought about is if you're having, sharing the family home, then there's got to be other places, right, that the parents are living to be able to rotate in and out. So you're talking about what could be 3 homes here that have to be paid for and maintained. So let's talk about that, just the financial and logistical challenges this could pose.
It's expensive, right? It comes with a big price tag, and it normally means maintaining 2 or 3 living spaces because you got the family home, so you're paying for your mortgage, your home loan, your utilities, but then you're also usually paying for 2 separate homes for the other parent. So it's almost triple the bills, triple the groceries, triple the cleaning. I remember a parent I worked with was paying the mortgage plus for a rental apartment, and that constant moving, the clothes, the bills, the groceries, it became too expensive and almost more exhausting than what they had thought was going to be the benefit of it. So they ended up in weekly arguments, and it created more worse than good.
What about boundaries, privacy concerns? Because if you're sharing that space and you're not together anymore, I mean, I feel like that could raise a lot of questions in that regard.
I think parents often forget that they're still going to be sharing most of the time the same bed, the same fridge, the same bathroom, and that can start to feel really invasive. I mean, imagine walking into the kitchen, you're seeing your ex's groceries, belongings, sleeping in the same bed where they just were last night. I think over time that can create real resentment. And then it gets even trickier when there's a new partner who enters the picture.
Oh,
I mean,
goodness.
do you let your new partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, do you let them into the family home? Does your ex get a say? There's some real blurred boundaries there, and that can stir up, jealousy and distrust.
It all makes sense. It really does. You're making this, a very clear picture of the other side of this that I don't feel like is often talked about and considered enough. What about what you consider to be healthier alternatives to bird nesting, Gabriella?
I think we just need to think about how long we're looking at this process. It might work for a few months whilst you're selling your family home or whilst you're negotiating, the settlement of the finances and the property. So a few months, let the kids finish out the school year. But I think what's healthier is forget the one home, the one nest. What children need is stability and consistency and parents who love them. So if 2 parents can cut through the conflict, enough with the fighting, the difficult text messages, the changeovers with the yelling, just focus on 2 happy, healthy, stable households. I think your children will probably thank you more for that than this idea of the bird nesting.
Yeah, so you're saying the stability doesn't come from them staying in the house. The stability comes from all of the other things that need to happen.
It comes from the collaborative co-parenting,
yes.
right?
Yes, of course. That makes a lot of sense. You have a book. We can see it right over your shoulder there. This is something that will be released in September. So let's talk about this, the collaborative co-parent. Share with us about your book, Gabriella.
I'm very excited for its release. I'm a co-parent myself. I'm also a family lawyer, so I speak a lot from my own experience, what I had to go through, the hard, the easy, the lessons I've learned, that my clients have learned. And it's really a roadmap for those going through separation. You're not alone. Co-parenting can seem really difficult, particularly in those early days. But with time and with that focus and decision to do it, your children will benefit and they will have a more stable and happy future.
So what are some of the I don't know if it's chapters inside or just, how is this broken up in a way that will make this easy for us to read and understand? Just give us a peek, I guess, behind the cover here, Gabriella.
I call it a roadmap or a framework, and it starts off with day one. I wake up. What on earth has happened to my life? I'm in bed. The person who I was living with and who I expected I was going to spend my life with isn't there. How do I co-parent with this person, particularly if there's been conflict or betrayal? So we go through the early days of separation. I give examples. I give scripts for how to communicate better with your co-parent. For me, communication is everything, and that's one of the names of the chapters. So better communication strategies, how to come up with some more amicable parenting arrangements, whether you've got little ones or you've got teenagers, and the differences in developmental milestones for those type of children. And then we work through what to do in the future with blended families, step families, new partners. And I give some alternatives to try and keep parents out of court, collaborative divorce, mediation, those sorts of things.
There you go. All right. If you'd like to learn more, you can search for Gabriella on social media at Collaborative Co-Parent. Find out more about her book. But such an important topic, Gabriella, and such an interesting take on bird nesting and, what could be some of the impacts of that as well. So thank you again so much for taking the time to check in with us from Australia. It's a pleasure to meet you, and we wish you the best with your book.